Good afternoon, everyone. Here's Dewey here. I'm at my friend's Jim's hangar over in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and I've done a few videos here off and on over the past couple years. But Jim has been working on a Pietenpol Aircramper, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it and show you a little bit more up close and personal. But Dick Alcar from kind of Dayton area, he built this airplane in 1970. So this airplane is actually 55 years old, and he crashed it, I think, not once, but twice, had some problems with it. And it's been sitting in a hangar since 1992. And Chris Palmer, one of our aviation friends, he took the airplane and started to try to do some repairs on it. He got kind of busy with the family. And here we are at Jim's place. Jim said, hey, I'll help out a little bit also. And in 10 weeks, he actually repaired the airplane, covered it, and painted it. And here I'm going to show you a little bit about what's went on and what it's doing. So this is what a Pietenpol Aircramper looks like. This is a Model A engine mount. This is what a Model A engine mount would look like. If you had a Continental 65, it would be different. It wouldn't have these. I believe this is oak. You wouldn't have these oak engine mounts here. Just a little bit more about it. This is exactly how a Pietenpol Aircramper is built. It's a little more up close and personal here. I think the fuselage is 24 inches wide. This is 1/8 inch plywood. And then this is all spruce stringers. This airplane was designed in 1929 with Bernard Pietenpol. And he actually built the airplane with pretty much all common parts that you could buy at the hardware store, things like that. Get the steel tubing. All the controls are welded up yourself. So when you get the plans, they give you dimensions. And with that being said, you weld it up and rig it just like the plans show. And this is what it would look like. So, instrument panel here for the pilot, as you can see. Here's the seat. Pretty cool, huh? You put a little cushion on there. You can't get too much in there, to be honest with you. One thing that's unique, or good, it has, I think Jim put these shoulder harnesses in. It's nice to have something like shoulder harnesses in these airplanes. Just because if you have an off-field landing or something kind of hard or difficult, it's going to probably save your head from hitting the instrument panel. The airplane's made out of wood, so now you can use like T88 epoxy glues, but everything's glued together, and then they put these gussets. And you see these little nails, these are called brads, okay? But they glued it together. And this is 1970 build. What happened, the prop come off the Model A, and Dick landed out in a field and had to make emergency landing. The field kind of, I guess, was going downhill, and the airplane glided more than he expected because the propeller wasn't there. And with that being said, he landed a little bit long, and it tore the gear off. And really, this part of the airplane was damaged quite a bit. So Jim and Chris worked on splicing this piece in. This is a brand new piece of spruce. It's all spliced in. All this is all rebuilt. You can see this is older stuff. This is the newer wood and everything. All the front is new. Jim took a lot of time, 6 weeks to put it all back together, cover it. Here's the front controls. It's a dual control airplane, so even the front passenger would be able to fly the airplane. You have rudder pedals there. And you can see these rudder pedals. What's unique about it, it's just steel tubing, right? And then you just bend a couple fittings here and there, bolt them to the floor, and then you get your cables there that run back. the pilot, as you're flying the airplane, the pilot's feet come through here. I'll turn this around here. So your feet comes through here, and here's a rudder bar. And the rudder bar is for the main pilot. And they put this, look here, they got like a little shim here, so you don't get your heels caught on the landing gear block. So it slides back and forth a lot easier. It's pretty amazing in 1929 they come up with this airplane. Here's the back of the instrument panel. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with this than what I thought I would. But here's all the instruments, and then you'd run all the cabling and the tubes and everything to the engine or to the pitot-static. Let's go around here and take a look. We've got our compass, our magneto switch, oil, oil temperature, oil pressure, okay? And then here, since we got a Model A, you got to have water temperature. All right. We got our altimeter, our altimeter here, our airspeed. All right. And there is the almighty RPM gauge. So it's really a unique plane. It's small. It's a home built. Jim did all the covering here. Come back here. We just set the, this is the stabilizer on it. It's pretty much a flat surface. We'll bolt through, and then the rudder sets on top. Tail skid. All this looks like it's pretty much built to plans. A lot of guys are putting tail wheels on it, and tail wheel would be, you know, in today's world, it makes it more convenient. But if you're flying off of grass, tail skid is perfectly okay. And, you know, around here, we kind of fly off of grass a lot. With that being said, you keep the weight down. Pietenpol is kind of known to be tail heavy. So you really want to keep everything light on the tail section. And, you know, having a Model A up front really helps out. Here's the elevators. So Jim put all these back together, tore all the covering off. Here's the control horn for the elevator half. And he covered all this in Stitz polyfiber. Here's the fin. I'll back up here so you can see it. There's the rudder. And it's what's kind of funny also is just I started building a Pietenpol. I had the tail sections done, and I framed up the fuselage. It's actually pretty easy to build and very fun to build. But you just put all this stuff in a jig, just like a model airplane. Glue it together and come back the next day and glue some more parts and pieces in. Here we go. Jim here's all the cabling for the elevator and the rudder. You see all his tapes here. So anytime there's something touching the fabric, you gotta have a tape on it. So he has these little double tapes or pinking tapes on here. Here's the front instrument panel. There's nothing there, but a piece of metal will go there. This is where you have the struts go up to the wing, attaches here and here. So Jim said he's going to paint those. Here's the landing gear brackets and also the flying struts, or the struts for the wing. So the landing gear will bolt to this one and that right over there. Pretty cool stuff. So we just put this stuff together just so you can see what it looks like here. So he'll get the bolts and get everything all tightened up and fit it up a little better. So I'm going to move over here and show you the cowling. I didn't have any pictures of it before, and I don't think Jim took any, but he said all this was really beat up pretty bad. Wrinkled aluminum. But Jim, he did a lot of work with it and beat it, and said he stood on a couple pieces. And if you ever met Jim, he doesn't weigh a lot, so he probably had to do some jumping up and down on it. And these are just the metal pieces that he actually just worked and fitted back. So these are original here. This is the back of the front cockpit, or sorry, the back of the back cockpit, and it overlaps. Gives a little tapered look there on the instrument panel. Very front nose of the airplane. Here's a piece that was broken. So Jim laid these out here, turnbuckles and things that were broke during the accident. So I graduated high school in '94. So this crashed or had an accident 2 years before I graduated high school. Here's some pretty cool stuff he had on this, on the side of the cowling. This is EAA Oshkosh. But look at that, 1978. I never knew it was called International Fly-In. And then this is Murphy. This was up in Marion, Ohio. So when I was a teenager and everything, the Murphy is called Mid-Eastern Regional Fly-In. This was one of the largest fly-ins in the area. They had a humongous air show, awesome like display of antiques and home builds. It was a very experimental type fly-in back then. This is back in like between 90 and 94 when I would go there. And two of my friends that we flew in high school, we would go there. We started going before we could drive, and then we were in high school. We would drive there and spend the whole weekend camping out and everything. So it was an awesome fly-in. And then I don't know what happened, and the fly-in now is being held in Urbana, Ohio, but it's nothing like it used to be. So Jim had this laying out. This is some of the broken wood. You see this was in the cockpit there. This is where your feet would go through. It's all broken, and Jim had to rebuild all this and remake everything. Look at that. This looks like this is possibly the very top of the fuselage. Be this piece probably like right there. So it, I think that might be it there. So he parted it all back together, instrument panel. Here's some of the old fabric. This airplane just sat in the back of a hangar or up in the loft. And for many, many years, I remember years ago just going over to the Dick's hangar with Jim, and I'd see the airplane hanging up there or sitting in the back of the hangar. So this is probably all Synconite and dope fabric here, but this is what it was. And I think we're about done. Here's some cool stuff here. So this is like the instruction manual, the Holy Grail for the Pietenpol Aircramper. You can order these online. 1932 flying and glider manual, and you can actually go and buy this. It's not that expensive. See here, I just opened it up here, but it looks like Jim has some notes. But it features the Pietenpol build, and look at that. That's pretty cool. I remember I have this book at home, but it's been many years since I've looked at it. But a lot of really cool small airplanes. So here we are with the Pietenpol build. And I'm not up on the Pietenpol like I used to be. But what was unique about it, I think there was, I might be misspeaking or spoken on this, but I'm sure someone will correct me, but I believe there's like a big show that was happening maybe in Chicago, and they were supposed to have some pilot show up, and they never did. And Bernard showed up, and I think it was 2 Pietenpols, and they didn't even know he was going to show up. And he kind of wowed the world with this airplane. And this is what it would look like originally. They've had multiple different engines put on the airplane, Corvairs. They have radio engines, but it was designed around a Model A. This is what the plans would look like. And it teaches you how to build it and what needs to happen to be built. This is showing a steel tube fuselage. And I believe this is yep, that's Alan Rudolph's Pietenpol right there. Just had a guy contact me over in Indiana. He has some pictures he's going to send me. Well, he wants to bring over to me, but he personally has pictures with the Alan Rudolph Pietenpol from many, many years ago, and he wants to bring them over and hand deliver them. Yep, here's the engine mount. That's what it looks like. But this is a really nice read. Looks like it's over 10, 12 pages of the article. And another thing, you know, they're Pietenpol Aircramper, and then they have a Pietenpol Scout, which is a single place. But, yeah, this is a really nice article. It's been probably 20 years since I've looked at this, but it shows you how to convert the Model A engine into an aircraft engine. They actually, the back of the engine is the front where the prop connects. But, yeah. Take a look. I'm not sure where you can buy these anymore, but maybe Aircraft Spruce might still sell them. But Amazon, I'm sure you could probably find some. It's probably only a few bucks. eBay for sure. And like I said, there's a lot of cool airplanes and plans in here that you could really go out there and have a little fun and dream about things. Look at that little thing. Good. It looks like a model airplane. So this is a Pietenpol Aircramper, and I'm going to probably call it quits. And then until then, blue skies.